You are live. I am live. I am the you that is being discussed there. Let me move this. I have no idea if that water bottle affects. I don't know. Does the sound bounce off my water glass? Probably not. Can you hear my neighbor's dog howling in the background? Let me take a minute while there's nobody here in the audience to go ahead and check the audio. I was just jamming out to some Bruce Springsteen to get all hyped up before the show, and I'm gonna be honest. Good, the audio works. You love to see it. His version of "Blinded by the Light" fucking sucks. It is fucking just bad. And it was on the Spotify Best of Bruce Springsteen list. It is not. He literally like anyone other than fucking Springsteen doing that song. Please, who was it? Manfred Mann? Is that who did the good one from Blow? Yeah. Howdy to the comment section. Anthony Aquafreda in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, what a treat. All the way from Italy. Good to see you, Aqua. Dustin Landry, howdy. Couster, Patrick Bateman gracing us with his presence. Wow. What an evening. What an evening we have here in the offing. Yeah, for those of you new to the program, please follow Twitter at Mike Montone, Instagram at Gary_Moyler, Moyler. And of course, the YouTube channel at Mike's Golden Streams, or just look for Sacktap Live on YouTube and you will find me. We had a different type of bus for the commute into the city this week, which was fucking great. It has like the airplane style seating, where it's just row after row of two and an aisle down the middle. So it fits a lot more people, which means you don't have to get squeezed in next to like day laborers and bus boys, which I realize it sounds classist and elitist, but how can you be classist and elitist if you're riding the fucking bus, right? You're just being a realist. You don't want to be nuzzled up against some fucking 45-year-old dude who's like, he's 5'8", 230 pounds and fucking spends his entire day hovering over a hot fucking grill. Just the smell of fucking cooking oil is just baked into him. It's just not it's not delightful early in the morning, and there can be a bit of a smell on the bus early in the morning. Plus a lot of people farting. A lot of people that early in the morning, if you haven't passed a log before you leave the house, and if you ever notice what the bathrooms are like in any kind of corporate setting, right when people are showing up for work, there is a lot of shitting going on in that first, hour and a half or so of the workday, because people are having their coffee. A lot of people are poorly hydrated, so they probably don't drink a whole lot right when they got up at home, because hydration just isn't something they consider. Maybe the first thing they have to drink when they do get their shit together is coffee at work. So that usually just sends whatever turd has been building from the night before flying the fuck out. That's why I drink a nice greens drink as soon as I get up, and a couple waters with lime and sea salt. That usually clears me out pretty good. If not, there is a wonderful fucking gender neutral bathroom at my place of business, which is a really the advent of these things is the greatest gift of wokeness. Has been there. There are a couple gifts of wokeness. One of them is that I think you see more hot lesbians out in the open these days, which is it's just kind of a treat when you happen upon that, because it's just more of an accepted thing. and these gender neutral single occupancy bathrooms in corporate environments, because you can really go in there and take a good shit, and just in complete privacy, locking door, sit on down. It's just, I mean, you take up residency. And I know it's been done to death, George Costanza, Eric Cartman, but it's true. It's really, because even if you like your job, being in there's something that will always be a little bit soul sucking about a corporate environment. Like, I think these people do something or have gotten into a field that they're at least kind of into. But there's still that little bit of like, all right, we have this limited time on the planet. I have to give a hefty portion of it over to this sort of, industrial, this monolith, if I wish to feed, clothe, and house myself, and put something aside so that when I can't work anymore, I'm not, living on the fucking street. Um, so anytime you can get those little niceties in a situation like that, it feels greater than it is. Like, out in the world, this would effectively be like the equivalent of defecating in a well-maintained fast food restaurant bathroom. Most of those are single occupancy, and that's no great shakes. But when it happens at your place of business, there's just something about it. It's like in the military, in war. There are certain items in an MRE, in a meal ready to eat, that people just go fucking crazy for. Like, there's this jalapeno cheese. There's a lemon pound cake, which is very good. And there are a couple like entree items. Like, there's it's like a fucking chili mac, or a chili mac and cheese, or something like that. It's fucking incredible. That under normal circumstances, you wouldn't want to eat any of these things. They're not wonderful tasting foods, but if you're out in the field on, one meal a day, or if you're doing like a training exercise where you were just given 3 MREs and you'd be out in the field for 5 days to a week or whatever, if it's a little bit of energy maintenance as part of the training, then those things just become niceties that are larger than they really are. And I think a good gender neutral bathroom shit is that. I mean, in high school there was a handicap bathroom. We had a middle school, high school attached, and it was over in the middle school, and I used to use that thing every fucking day. I remember the two little niceties I would give myself in school. There was we had a photo lab we had a photography class, and the dark room, you could go in there and take a hell of a fucking nap when there wasn't a class in session. So I used to do that. I'd skip out on a class to do that, and I would take at the end of study hall, or like my lunch period, I would go find that fucking handicap bathroom, because we didn't have any. I don't think we had any physically handicapped kids or teachers. I don't remember ever seeing that. I think the first time I saw like a fucking a real like handicap guy out in the wild was I mean, except for, like a ball game or something like that, you see a kid go by in one of those Stephen Hawking chairs. But like within my own community, there was I had a college history professor who had he had a little something. But I didn't feel like I wasn't depriving anyone of a medically necessary bathroom. So I held no moral compunctions about going and taking a shit in this thing. It was a delight, an absolute treat. In any case, a lot of slow moving people lately in the city. That's, I guess, around spring break time, this time of year, it's just tourism kicks up. So a lot of idiots, and they take up sidewalk space, and they don't know how to walk in Manhattan. I'm surprised we don't see an uptick in people being hit by buses and cabs and shit, because they'll either they either walk into the street, of their own kind of stupidity, or they'll see like, a real New York City walker, like these people who will fucking they'll jet across the street while traffic is still flying because like they have that New York City cockiness where they're like, oh no, 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 I got it all figured out. There's a system to this. And then some idiot from like Sao Paulo who's on, here on vacation will try to do it, and fucking they wind up getting splattered by a yellow cab, and it's on the evening news. And guys like me are sitting there fucking stoned in the 1010 Wins newsroom, writing about it for the website. Yeah, yeah, that was a time in my life. Never again. But yeah, a lot of that, a lot of they will you'll be trying to like walk down the sidewalk, and there will be like a mass of them, and they just don't know to get out of the fucking way. Like there is, I don't like to lean too hard into coastal elitism, but there is a kind of slack-jawed stupidity that people from outside of this area come to the city with. And I'm sure it goes the other way around, right? If, you take a fucking New Yorker out to fucking cowboy country, they're going to look pretty fucking silly. But it is when there are like buses and all sorts of other massive conveyances flying by, and crackheads to avoid, and all sorts of things, it adds this whole other annoying fucking element to have dozens of them, and they're all walking like 2 by 2, and they all have the same lanyard on, and you can it's usually a big mixed gender crowd, and you can feel a kind of sexual tension amongst them, like whether it's like a teen tour or some sort of like whatever, I don't know, whatever, some version of like Birthright Israel, where it's just, groups of young people who are fucking, they're here to do a little sightseeing, little finger banging, a little everything, little rumspringa. But they move very, very slowly, which will segue, I think, into this story. I don't know if it segues in well, but I always say that I think one of the reasons that mass shooters in America are so successful is because so many Americans are so sort of dumb and slow. Like I just, it's really, we're not like, if I was at the mall a few weeks ago. It was like a rainy Sunday, so I didn't want to just sit around my fucking apartment in like the gray. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to the mall. And I was looking around, and I was just like we really are just a fucking a disgusting country full of people in stained sweat, high BMI, in fucking, unwashed sweatpants, walking around with an oversized soft drink, fucking hurling the N-word at your friends, looking down at your phone, clogging up the fucking walkway as you go, is like just the doppelganger of an American these days. So it's never a shock to me when a lot of people are mowed down at once. Like, I'm like, oh, that it's sad and it's terrible, but you're like, did we think they were going to escape? They're not, fucking, there was it looks like a terrorist attack in Moscow, I have to assume. 40 dead, 100 injured. Yes, several gunmen opened fire. The New York Post is reporting that it was 5 gunmen in military uniforms shooting civilians with automatic weapons as others ducked for cover at the Crocus City Hall, where the band Picnic was about to take the stage. Or this was no picnic. Other footage shows men firing at people point blank Below the venue's entrance sign is bloodied bodies like yeah, this is just fucking I don't know. I'm not well healed on the situation in Ukraine, so I don't know what's what over there. The closest thing that this reminds me of is the ISIS attack at the concert in Paris when there was the multiple site attacks. I was working the 1010 wins fucking CBS New York web desk when that was going on, and I remember like when they were like, oh yeah, there was like someone got shot at a concert in Paris. I was like, oh, there's not just one person shot, and we're reporting this. Like, we're going to be dealing with dozens very soon. And then they're like, oh, there's like multiple locations. I was like, oh, this is fucking for sure ISIS. Yeah, they got helicopters dousing a burning building to put it out. And then there was a stampede. I guess after the shooting begins, there's a stampede. Everyone's running to the escalator. That must be imagine in a concert venue too, or like a nightclub when something like this happens. Um, that must be the most like intense thing. Or like what was that concert where the it was at a bar in like Rhode Island or something like that, where they had the fire, or like a Pulse nightclub scenario. Um, that must be just an incredibly intense, wild situation. Um, no group has claimed responsibility for the attack, but it comes. I guess Putin just he won another election, a landslide election victory for Vladimir Putin. And there are outlets reporting that the attackers fled before special forces and riot police arrived. That's incredible. So these guys are just out there because usually when one of these things goes down, it's either a lengthy hostage standoff, or if it's like some fucking angsty incel who's pissed off at society because he's not getting laid. Those guys usually either you just go out and suicide by cop, or they blow their own brains out. Um, on March 8th, the U.S. Embassy in Moscow warned American citizens about the threat of terrorist attacks in Moscow, specifically at concerts. The embassy is monitoring reports that extremists have imminent plans to target large gatherings in Moscow to include concerts, and U.S. citizens should be advised to avoid large gatherings over the next 48 hours. That sucks. Russia is one of those places that I would love to visit. I always wanted to ride the Trans-Siberian Railroad across the country and just fucking see the whole thing. But it does seem like one of those Wild West countries, like where anything at any given moment you could have to do battle with like a fucking bear, or some fucking guys trying to like cut your head off and put it in his refrigerator. Yeah, this is incredible. I mean, the building is just absolutely fucking up in flames. There's no indication at this time that Ukraine or Ukrainians were involved in the shooting. Yeah, again, I don't know a whole lot about the situation over there. It's just like not something I've followed very aggressively, but I mean, I have to imagine that our intelligence, guys are involved in shit with the Ukrainians to some degree. So you always have to wonder. Um, and by the way, I do not have any suicidal thoughts or feelings. You always have to wonder, like, what's you know, who fucking who 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 is behind this? Like, the more like, you know, fucking, we gave rockets to the fucking guys who eventually became Al Qaeda. So it's not like we don't find weird little ways to get involved in shit that the people don't know about until well after the fact. So it's one of those things to ponder anytime something like this happens. Of course, who is this Kirby guy? Who is Kirby? Who is Kirby? White House National Security Advisor John Kirby. What did he say? What did he say? Kirby told reporters, this is the New York Post, that he does not believe the embassy's warning earlier was related to Friday's attack. And when asked if the U.S. had prior information about the assault, he said he's not aware of any advanced knowledge that the U.S. had of this terrible attack. Well, there you had it. There you have it, folks. Straight from the U.S. government's mouth. Ukrainian presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak, is that how you say it? Did I get it? Claimed Kiev had absolutely nothing to do with these events. All right, maybe. I don't know. You don't know who to believe after shit like this. You really just never know who is behind what. Fascinating stuff. But the wild thing is they didn't catch these fucking guys. Like, and that was like the thing in Paris, remember? And in of course after the Boston Marathon, it took them like a day or so to catch the kid. The was it was Jokar and Tamerlan Tsarnaev, whichever one, the sexy one that they put on Rolling Stone magazine. Fucking that one, they didn't get him immediately. You remember San Bernardino? They had like a fucking driving shootout with the husband and wife team. um, and then whatchamacallit, Paris, they were kind of out running around a little bit. I forget what I forget what fucking book it was that I was reading, but there was a guy who had somehow been involved with like this jihadi cell living in France, and I guess he was getting debriefed by like British intelligence, and he was talking about like all the safe houses and shit, and like fucking how they tested him by having him drive a fucking a bunch of bomb making materials on, I guess there's this ferry between northern Africa and France, and like just like going to fucking camps and meeting guys and shit. So it's as much as someone that you grew up with joins the U.S. military, when you go to other parts of the world, someone you grew up with joins a terrorist organization, and they do shit like this, and they justify it just as much as we do. So very interesting. So we'll keep an eye on this. Thomas Hager in the house. Good good to see you, sir. Rooster, Jeffrey Chipperson, all the boys are here. Love to see it. Yeah, so not I guess we'll follow the developing story. There's so much happening on the other side of the pond. Kate Middleton has what, she got cancer? That's why she's been hiding out and getting photoshopped. Crazy times we're living in, folks. Crazy times. Particularly crazy, it seems, for people who use Grub Hub and DoorDash, and I have no idea what is going on. There is some sort of wild discourse going on Twitter over like DoorDash and Grub Hub, and whether food delivery should be considered a human right, because some people have things like ADHD or anxiety that prevent them from going out of the house to get groceries, and they can't cook, so they rely on Grubhub and DoorDash, and the delivery fees are too high, and it should be free. There's this whole fucking just I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's like a high level troll. I don't know what the fuck it is, but there are just you could read these arguments for hours. And it's wild. This person is tweeting, does anyone else think it's upsetting that food is currently considered a luxury item? That we are being told to just eat cereal and frozen dinners? I'm feeling a type of way about it. I don't know who's being told to eat cereal and frozen dinners. I don't know who the fuck is eating frozen dinners. That to me is one of the most bizarre things. People are always, that's always the thing that I hear, like, oh, it's so expensive to eat fucking fresh food, which it's not. Like, get a fucking rotisserie chicken. You get a rotisserie chicken and a fucking apple, and you're in good shape for the fucking day, and you just fed yourself for fucking fucking what, $7. I mean, obviously you're gonna be missing some nutrients. Not perfect, but like you will not starve if you eat a rotisserie chicken and like a piece of fruit every day. You won't be the perfectly fat, you're not gonna make the Olympics on that diet, but like you'd be all right. Fucking frozen. If you go through the frozen section at the grocery store, I buy a frozen cauliflower pizza every week, and I stack it with my my meal prepped chicken, and I turn it into a very high protein pizza. I usually have it on Thursday night. Nice little treat. Those things, they're not that big, and they're like $9. Like they would maybe I mean, you're not feeding you're certainly not feeding a family or like multiple kids on one. Like it's fucking like it's effectively a personal pizza. And you go through the frozen stuff that you have to like heat up and microwave and all that fucking garbage is incredibly expensive. I don't know where this fucking idea comes from. And like now McDonald's and all that shit is through the fucking roof. True to roof. But I guess there is a contingent of people out there who people are becoming more and more shut in. It's interesting. There's still people who have, I think the pandemic, they felt just gave them license to be like, that's it, where we are now embracing the shut-in lifestyle. And all the sort of like social and economic changes that came about as a result of the pandemic, that were suited for lockdown life, like only eating like fucking takeout or whatever, and doing everything online and just never leaving the fucking house, and like living in sweatpants. I think people will get comfortable. Like there are people who seek out discomfort and there are people who seek out comfort. And if you only seek out fucking comfort, eventually you do wind up like just becoming afraid of society. Like you're not if you never leave the house, stepping outside of the house and interacting with people is going to be an incredibly overwhelming experience. And it's interesting to see how many people have really, really leaned into that existence, and are just like, fuck it. Like, there's now an out, I guess, for everyone who just doesn't want to interact with society. Like, it really used to be like the only people living like that were the incel population, or like people who were medically shut in. And now it seems that it's a much more there's a niche for it. Like people fucking love the shut in life. This other article I'm going to check out in a minute is about how computer games are causing erectile dysfunction, and I was just listening before to Adam Carolla, and he was talking to someone about porn, and I think the Rogan had someone on, and they were talking about it as well, and some of the categories that people are into now, all the step family stuff is the most popular fucking porn, because people have cut off their interaction with society. They're staying home. They're just masturbating shitloads, and regular good old fashioned fucking just doesn't do it for them anymore. They have to find all these odd little like twists and shit to it. And as a result, you have things like people watching videos where, their aunt is stuck in a washing machine, and they come up, and some guy in like nerd glasses and a fucking pair of gym shorts just comes up and starts fucking ramming her from behind. So we're going down an interesting path societally. I'm just going to scroll through, see if there are any more. See, I can't see. So there's this one where this one guy tweets, "Who the fuck are all these people overpaying for fast food delivery? Leave your fucking houses. Good God. Half the people at one of my favorite spots are some salaried fake email job person's food delivery slave." And then someone replied, "Let's see you leave your house after 10 p.m. in New York City, tough guy." So I don't know if that's like a troll reply, or if that guy's being serious. It's very confusing. I am so befuddled by the origins of this argument. I don't know where it came from. I've tried Googling it. None of the sites that usually cover like internet virality are talking about it. There've been a couple little viral stories that I've seen lately that no one seems overly interested in outside they haven't gotten picked up by the tabloids or anything. It's this one and this other one where people are saying that if you're into like I guess country chicks, like chicks who go digging for catfish and splitting wood and riding ATVs, apparently that's gay. There's like this big debate going on in like conservative and red pill Twitter over whether it's gay to be into women who are into like traditionally male activities, like outside fucking with an axe cutting down a tree, or fucking hunting beaver, or whatever the fuck they do. But yeah, there are always these fascinating disputes going on the internet. I love like that. The best one ever, of course, was when that guy was leaving those voicemails for the chicks, and they all just teamed up to expose him. That was my favorite one. Engaging in DoorDash discourse is eugenics by proxy. Here's this guy says, the dunking on disabled people for using DoorDash is a proxy eugenics discourse. It's not hard to engage it, but maybe helpful to remember the debate isn't really about what ableist leftists are claiming it is, even if they're not entirely conscious of it themselves. So I guess what I'm extrapolating from that is that this is an argument that began between like hardcore libs who feel that DoorDash and Uber Eats workers don't get paid enough, and people with these fucking shut-ins who order DoorDash for every fucking meal, saying that like the delivery fees and tipping and whatnot is too expensive, and they can't afford it, and that because of their shut-in condition, they have to have these services like it's a fucking Meals on Wheels. I used to do Meals on Wheels. That was my punishment when I got busted drinking the first time in ninth grade. I had to do I got caught the fucking last day of school, like the worst day to get caught stealing your parents' alcohol, and that just completely fucked my summer. And they made me do Meals on Wheels, and I had to prepare and deliver meals to old people who, for whatever reason, couldn't leave the house. So they would just get these awful fucking, I don't know what it was. They were basically like airline meals, like, and some of them had to be heated up. Then there was like a fucking vegetable element, and like they got like this little fucking, when you get like well, what is it? Like a roll, like a little fucking dinner roll, in like the cellophane wrapper on top of like one of those white fucking cardboard pieces. It was just terrible. It was a very sad meal. You never want to be a fucking shut-in, is what I'm saying. Very, very sad. Terrible existence. At that point, just get one of those Swedish suicide pods or whatever, right? But very interesting to me that this is going on. I guess usually it takes a couple weeks for these things to show up in like on mainstream websites. So maybe it will, and someone will do the work of researching it for me, because it is quite fascinating. Meals on Wheels is a good thing to volunteer for, no matter how awful Mike is trying to spin it. Thank you, Rabbit. What did Meals on Wheels? Did you get your dick sucked by a few fucking shut-ins? Is that why you're promoting it? Someone out there had to have done some shit like that, because all you hear is that if you go to these retirement communities, these old people are fucking like crazy. So at some point you have to think that like either an orderly at one of those places, or like someone doing like a Meals on Wheels, or like a fucking community van or something like that, fucking tried to get his dick sucked by one of these old bags, had her take her false teeth out and just gum down his shaft. But yes. Not Sam Miguel. Howdy. Good good to have you here. Do I think Otani should be suspended? So what's the deal? His translator has shitloads of gambling debt. Let me look it up. I saw a blip about this on Twitter, but I didn't really follow it up. Yeah, it's his interpreter. His interpreter accrued a massive gambling debt, and he's saying that they're saying he stole the money from him. Yeah, I don't think he should be suspended. And especially like it's so fucking whatever the situation is, the investigate, never suspend until obviously you've investigated, figure out what's gone on. But fucking, they have made gambling now is so fucking in your face and there and accepted and all of that shit that it's like they're gonna have to find a different way or a better way to police that kind of thing among athletes. Um, and I have no idea what the answer to that is. But I don't think if a person close to you, and obviously, I guess the question is, was it actually the interpreter, or is it just the interpreter making payments for Otani? Like, there's a lot of very I see the bookie that he gambled under is under federal investigation. Um, did Otani actually? Did he actually give him the money? Or is it still? Are they still calling it? Are they still calling it theft? Like, what's the latest on that? Um, No, it definitely does not seem to be the same as the Pete Rose. Pete Rose was making a fucking profession out of gambling, and I believe, there's situations where they're like, oh, he might have made managerial decisions about fucking games, like holding out a pitcher or fucking having a guy swing away or whatever, not trying to tire a guy out for the next day's games. That actually um that actually is like bad. Um but even that, like, I don't know, baseball has a huge stick up its ass about gambling. I guess ever since the Chicago White Sox scandal, that there's just been like baseball loves a lifetime ban. I feel like it's just so fucking extreme. There's just something about baseball. It's got that like crotchety old 1990s middle-aged man energy. Um, that's incredible, Caster. Yeah, that you said that's the 1919 World Series was over 100 years ago. I remember watching the movie Eight Men Out in like the 1990s, and that people who people who were alive in 1919 were still very much around. Like, you could have been if you were 10 years old in 1919, you'd have been in your 80s, I guess, in the mid 90s. So like you could have spoken, you could have had a conversation with someone back then who had been alive to experience that, which is fascinating. Um, hey Hager, how about go fuck yourself? How about go fuck yourself, Hager? Anyway, I'm tired as fuck, by the way. It's been a long ass stretch. I finished up a strength and conditioning certification, then had to cover a shitload of training shifts. So sleep has been at an absolute minimum. Hopefully I'll be rested reasonably shortly. Hopefully by the end of like April I'll be feeling nice and fresh. Um, I'm a tired motherfucker these days. Anyway, anyway, what else? What else before we wrap up? Um, I was gonna go. I guess I don't have to go too deep into this. Playing computer games can increase risk of erectile dysfunction study finds. We just talked about shut-ins. Um, there was a very interesting looking Dear Abby up at the top. Um, I was gonna go through this article, but yeah, I feel like it's just a big no fucking shit, huh? They do have a very cheeky picture of a guy holding a limp eggplant. It is a white man's hand holding a limp eggplant in his hand. Interpret that however you want. But yeah, of course, sitting in front of a fucking screen. I don't know why. I just never got hooked by video games. I might just because I suck at them. But yeah, fucking. I'm not. It's not shocking that what are they saying? For every additional 1.2 hours of leisure time on the computer, the participants more than tripled their likelihood of experiencing ED. I don't even know if it's because of fucking computer games then. It's probably they're probably spending a lot of time jacking off and desensitizing themselves. Um it's porn. It really feels like this is more of a porn induced ED thing than it is a video game thing. I mean, I'm sure it's a crossover between everything. Like obviously you're not if you're sitting around playing video games, the blood's not pumping, the T is low, you're probably not very, muscular and you're just a fucking disaster. There's that, but I really think it's just because so many guys are just jerking it to um, HD streaming videos of like close-ups of like gaping assholes and shit like that. But gaping assholes that have been, perfectly waxed and cleaned and fucking every droplet of sweat has been fucking it's a spray on, been manicured, fucking just top notch. And then you take home from some floozy from some what's the average bar that most guys are hanging out at these days? It's kind of a hometown dive or whatever, little roadside watering hole, and you're taking home, not the belle of the ball. Most of you aren't going home with quality, let's be honest. She probably got, zits all over her ass cheeks. Probably. Fucking questionable shave job, if the shave job even went all the way back through her asshole. um you're doing it in like a kind of like semi dark room. There might be a little bit of a funk in the air, get kind of a smell of the middle America fucking mildew. um and she's got like kind of like salty beer breath. She's probably been eating like pretzels or nuts from a bowl all night, or like a trail mix or something like that, and drinking some sort of cheap domestic light beer. So it lacks the pristine cleanliness of a Brazzers set, which it's unfortunate. Anyway. All right, fellas. Monday morning mowing with Mike. Good to see you. Good to see you. I usually catch you in the comments after the show has been posted. But good to see you, sir. Um Here be rabbit. Look, what do you want me to tell you? Is it true? Isn't it true? And I'm going to tell look, I I've had my share of practice girls as well. We all have. You just have to have a steadfast rule that you can only bang them behind closed doors. And if you're gonna you make sure it's a pretty one if you're walking around at the mall holding hands. Uh, in any case, I am fucking drained. It's been a very A very, very long day. Cowster, you eat your girl's ass like Bronzers. You goddamn right you do, and you should. Um, you shouldn't. You need to be a gentleman. Get down there. Get down there. Give it a tonguing. It's 2024. I think eating ass should be considered like a bare minimum, especially if you see what the sex toys that chicks have these days fucking look like we're all very replaceable. Like you better be making a fucking effort. Is what I will leave you guys on. And I'll also leave you on not San Miguel's unclipped Mexican dick. Which he has been kind enough to offer up to all of the ladies out there. Thank you, not San Miguel. I'm sure somewhere out on YouTube there is a woman who will come across that comment, and she will track you down. So Godspeed with that. I am going to get some rest. I have some group fitness to teach tomorrow, and then I think I'm going to do a little ice plunge in this weekend. Hopefully, adios, motherfuckers, as Sammy Gravano would say. I will see y'all next week.